Hello and welcome to this episode of Cosmic Crow Tarot, where today we're going to be talking about the decks from Insight Editions and how insightful they may really be. Insight Editions is a book publisher, I believe, for lack of knowing what else they're called, that makes cookbooks and other types of books based on pop culture and the things that we all really know, like from entertainment. Like you can see here, this is the Nightmare Before Christmas tarot, one that's extremely popular and something that we're really focused on as we move into the cooler months of the year with the Halloween very close. This is very much connected to it. And then we have decks such as the Villains Tarot from Disney. We have the Fallout Tarot from the video game Fallout series. Stranger Things is over here. And then I have one of my favorite stories and favorite series of all times, the Star Trek Next Generation Tarot. Now these are all decks that when you see them for pre-order on, say, Amazon, you jump on the chance. For example, the Star Trek Next Generation Tarot, I was ecstatic when I saw that was going to be a tarot deck, because I've talked about making this deck myself, and it's one of my other many ideas that I haven't actually put in the work to do it. Plus there's the whole, this is very popular and you need the permission from the people that created it to make it. And Insight Editions, they have that connection. They have the ability to get the payments, pay the people for the rights to do this kind of stuff. And so they have these decks that they can really put the effort in. And Star Trek, for example, there's so much to the Star Trek universe. There's so much to the Next Generation with Picard and Geordi and Worf and Riker and everybody there. There's so much you can do with that. So they have this ability. They have this, the fact that they can purchase this and they can make that. They have so much potential to make these decks great. And that's not what they do exactly. And I'm not one to belittle other people that I don't want to talk crap about a company or something like that. But when it comes to the Insight Editions, I really feel like they dropped the ball. Because all of these stories, everything you see here, Fallout, there's at least 5 different video games, the series Fallout, that you could base the deck about. You could do so much with it, and I just feel like they don't do as much as they could. We're going to start with the Disney Villains Tarot, though, because of all these 5 decks, I don't have all the decks that Insight Editions has created. I've only got 5 of them, which means I've kicked that football 5 times, because I want to believe they're going to get better, but it doesn't seem like they are. One of the most recent ones is Stranger Things, and, so much you could do with that again, and so much was not done. But like I said, Disney Villains might be the best deck that they've ever made. So we're going to check out that one first, and then I'll get to a little bit about each deck here so you can kind of see it for yourself. And you make your own opinion, you make your own desire. If you want to purchase them, I will put a link in the description down below of where you can do that. Setting them all aside so that I can do this. There we go. But the box quality, you can see there it says Disney Villains Tarot Deck and Guidebook, and you can see all the villains there on the front. Jafar, Ursula, Scar. I'm not completely, I know this is from one of their movies, and I can't for the life of me remember what it's called right now. It's a very good movie. It's I think it's The Princess and the Frog, but don't quote me on that. There's Sleeping Beauty's villain. There's also might be, I think that's Snow White's villain. So you get the idea. Disney Villains, very cool deck. The box is very well made. You can see it there. My favorite colors too, purple and green. So I love the box. You can see they give you a guidebook as well, and the guidebook is fully illustrated, has all the pictures in it, and it has the upright and reverse meanings and everything. So you might not be able to read this deck intuitively based on some of the pips or the minor arcana, but it's still very much very well made, very high quality cards. So they did put that effort into it. And the backs there, you can see brilliant shade of purple. It's gorgeous. You want to love this deck, and as I said, this is probably the most well done made one they have done. See the major arcana there. There's really no problem with the major arcana. They're fully illustrated. If you know the stories, they make it a little bit better. There, for example, the lovers is true love, and you can see Ariel and Eric there with the sea witch Ursula. She has become her alter ego there. I don't remember her name necessarily, but yeah, so we have that illustration, so it's the lovers. And like I said, the major arcana, not that bad at all. But then once you start getting into the minor arcana, which we are there now, Ace of Cups, there's 2 cups, there's 3 cups. That's when, like I said, is more specific and more detailed than other ones, because there's Captain Hook and he's got his cups, but not necessarily the meaning of the 4 of cups, because he is appreciating one in his hand. Then we have 5 cups, and 6 cups, and 7 cups, and 8 cups, but we have them kind of leaving, so you kind of get that energy in there. 9 of cups, there's Ursula in her true form, and she's got her trident, so she's happy, she's made her wishes come true. That one does very much connect to the meaning of the 9 of cups as well. But then we're back to 10 cups, and the page of cups. All the court cards are illustrated, and you can get those energies as well. You know, the follow your heart, lead with love kind of energy with the villains. Maybe not the best missed representation of it, but if we're thinking this is the Disney Villains Tarot, then of course you're gonna have villains replacing the regular cards. Then we get to the wand suit, and you can see there the Ace of Wands, the 2 of Wands. That's with the 2 hands, kind of makes me think of the 2 of Cups more. Then we have 3 wands and 4 wands. See Jafar there. So like the 4s, they kind of did pay attention to having characters. 5 of Wands, 6, 7. Like I said, this one is better than, say, the other ones. So they did kind of pay attention to detail with this one. I don't know the time frame exactly of when these were created, if this is one of their first ones or one of their last ones. My husband actually got me this one for my birthday one year, and I do think it's one of the better ones. But you can see, like, they could have done so much more with it. We'll go quickly through the cards there so you can see them. We know we have 4 other decks here that I want to share with you. And I wanted to start with the best one first, you know. Put your best leg up first impression. This one is beautifully done. It's probably the best one that they have. You know, there's Ichabod Crane going on the Knight of Coins. Crocodile under the woman. I don't know which character that is. There's from Robin Hood. So illustrations are good in the Disney Villains Tarot. And they stayed true to the name of the suits in this deck too, which is not something that can be said about the rest of the ones we share here. But continuing with the Disney theme, you see the Nightmare Before Christmas tarot deck now, and you can see it's very much the same type of box, very well made. It has the guidebook in there, which also has the illustrations in there as well. You can see them in there, and it has, I believe, yeah, even spreads in the back, so that's pretty cool. You can see the backs of the cards here, same box as I said. We think of Nightmare Before Christmas like purple, I guess, kind of in the energy. I always say purple's my favorite color, so I'm cool with that. There's the backs of the cards, and you can see the illustrations here. I did this one backwards, but we get to the major arcana there, or minor arcana there, before we get to the minor arcana. And I did just say minor arcana instead of minor arcana. Sorry about that, got a little tongue-tied. Again, major arcana, very much detailed illustrations there. High Priestess is Sally. We've got the Empress there. The Emperor, Santa Claus. We've got the Mayor of Halloween Town right there with the Hierophant. The Lovers, Jack and Sally. You can see the Fool there with Jack and his dog Zero. Chariot there. And this all makes sense. You can see the different illustrations there. I have nothing against the major arcana in these decks. They are absolutely gorgeous. You know, they could probably sell these for the same amount of money and just do major arcana, just do trumps. That would work just as well. Because once you get to the minor arcana, that's when you start getting disappointment. Let's set the major arcana down in there. And we have the ace there of the potions, which corresponds to cups. This is when we start seeing the suits being changed. And with this deck, it's rather easy to decide which ones they really are. You know, obviously this is a bottle, so it relates to cups, and we have the ace there, the 2 there, which is quite literally 2 bottles. The 3 of potions, a little bit more detailed. You can see them working together, you know, kind of like celebrating. There's 4 cups. There's 5, and you can see, like, it's pretty illustrated. So when this deck, like, that's one of their better ones, and maybe they pay more attention when it comes to the Disney versions of their decks, because that very much looks like Jack is sad and he's not paying attention to the cups over here, but he is focusing on the ones that have already given him what they had to offer. There's the 6 of cups, you know, just 6 cups. The 7 of cups, which is the card of choices, so you do have different choices there. That one makes sense. The 8 of potions, the 9 of potions, you know, a lot of things on a a lot of bottles there on the shelves. We have the 10 of potions, there's the page, the knight, the queen, the king, and then we get to the ace of candles. Now, you know, fire, candles, it makes very much sense as the suit of wands. And then we have the 2 of candles, the 3, you know, how does this say, you know, you're following your passion, you're making the choice to follow that passion. 4 of candles, 5, they do look like they're fighting, so that one makes sense. These 6 of candles, these 7 of candles, the 8 of candles, 9, 10, the page, the knight, the queen, the king, all of those make sense. And it's like they had an idea and they did some of the cards like they should have, but then other ones they just didn't care or something. They didn't have time, they were on a time frame, a time crunch, and they just didn't put the work and the effort in it to make it the perfect deck. There's the ace of needles, the 2 of needles, you know, needles, stabby, swords, air, that makes sense. There's the 3 of needles, the 4, which is quite literally 4 needles, the 5 of needles, you can see like victor or victim very much in that card, so that one makes sense. The 6 of needles, the 7 of needles, again, 7 needles, you know, there's nothing about this that says the thief card and anybody's trying to take away those needles. The 8 of needles, her arm fell off, you know, this is the card of feeling trapped, a prisoner of your own mind, and she doesn't seem that trapped by her own mind or anything like that. You're not getting that energy of it. Yes, it's illustrated, but she's focusing on putting her arm back in, which means she's focused on bettering herself and probably helping herself be free from that, from the doctor that created her. Then we have the 9 of needles, the 10 of needles. The page shows all the children again that we met in the 5 of wands and we know and love from The Nightmare Before Christmas. The knight, the queen, and the king of needles, and then the ace of presents, the suit of presents, you know, material happiness and financial success. We buy things with those kind of things. We buy presents with them, so this one very much makes sense for the suit of pentacles. There's the ace, the 2, the 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You see there, it's just 7 presents. You have to have patience, I suppose, to wait to open those presents for Christmas. 8 of presents, 9 of presents, the 10, the page, the knight, the queen, and the king of presents, which is Jack Skellington as Santa Claus. So looking at these 2 cards, or 2 decks, and sharing them with you, I do think that Inside Editions pays more attention to the Disney versions of their decks, and they want to make them better than the other decks, for example, and they do put more work into them, I feel, because those minor arcana, they're kind of half and half, they're mixed. There's a lot of cards there that are illustrated that can kind of give you the meaning and the insight and the intuition that you're looking for, but at the same time, there's just as many cards in that minor arcana that don't give you that information. How are 8 cups sitting on 8 bottles of potion sitting on a shelf really going to tell you, hey, I need to leave this behind? There's dust on it, sure, that might make you want to leave it behind, but that intuitive message that you get from, like, say, the Rider-Waite-Smith, that's more intuitive, that's more going to spark that intuition than, say, 8 cups sitting on a shelf. So that is the 2 Disney versions that I have. They do have Alice in Wonderland. I think I do not have that deck, but I don't think I'm going to be kicking this football anytime soon unless I see that they're going to put more effort into making them. I definitely would purchase them more because I love the idea of this, seeing our favorite like TV shows and books and stuff and movies coming to life in a tarot deck. It's just awesome. But I do feel like they dropped the ball on this, and this is one that this is my biggest disappointment when it comes to a tarot deck. Like, I pre-ordered this, like, I think back in April a few years ago, and I was so excited when it came out 6 months later. That's 6 months from pre-order. That's time you could really focus on it, you could really make it into something. Again, the box, can't complain about the box. The box is very well made. Guidebook, very well done. You can see it right there. Illustrated again, colored, it's gorgeous, but you can see, you kind of get a hint in there of how the major or minor arcana, excuse me, I keep wanting to say major and I even make up words of my own. The minor arcana, just not as good. You can see the starship right there, the Star Trek Enterprise right there. You can see the cards right here. That's data from the Fool. I do have videos there if you want to see the unboxing videos and you want to see these cards in complete detail where I'm talking more about them. This one and I believe the 2 I'll show you after that. There's definitely unboxing videos on my channel that you can see those in. But this is more of just like well, you've been here for almost 15 minutes now, so you know what kind of video this is. The Fool there, you can see that, the Magician, Geordi. The High Priestess is Deanna Troi, very much a good High Priestess. She's a empath, not a telepath. Telepaths are Babylon 5. That would also make an awesome tarot deck, so if anybody does that, that's a great idea. You see the Doctor there, she's the Empress. The Emperor's Riker. You can see the head of the Star Trek Federation. She's right there. You can see the Lovers there. A little complaint about the Lovers before we go any further. Deanna Troi and Riker here, they would have been the perfect lovers. Yes, Miles O'Brien and his wife, they did get married on Star Trek Next Generation, so I guess it makes sense. And really, I have no problem with the major arcana in these decks. They did put time and effort and focus, and use the information that they had. They did a very good job on the major arcana. You can see the Star Trek Enterprise right there as the cherry. It absolutely makes sense. Because the characters of Star Trek Next Generation, they definitely use the Star Trek or the Enterprise to get to where they wanted to go in the universe. And then we have Strength as Worf, and we have the Hermit there. I believe he's the one that created Data. I can't remember that exactly. It's been a really long time since I watched Star Trek Next Generation. There we have Guinan as the Wheel of Fortune. We have Picard himself as Justice. And then the character here we know from Star Trek, he's in a few different series. I don't remember his name at the top of my head, but he's the Hangman. And then we have Death as one of the characters that died in the first season. She was the original security guard before, or security officer before we met Worf. Well, I think he was in the first season, but he wasn't the security officer. But she died, so apparently that makes her good for the Death card. We have Temperance as Spock, which he's half human, half a Vulcan, so it does kind of make sense that he is Temperance. And then we have the Devil. Now, the Devil I do have a little bit of problem with, because you can see they're very much they look like the same character, they just look a little bit different. Now, to a person that's never seen Star Trek Next Generation, they're not going to know the difference between Data and this guy. But this is Data's evil twin brother that I cannot remember his name right now, so it does make sense that he's the Devil. But if you don't know the story and you don't know the series, then you're not going to know that. But of course, if you don't know the story and you don't know the series, why are you going to spend your money on Star Trek Next Generation tarot? We have the Borg as the Tower, the Star as Wesley Crusher, the Doctor, the Empress, her son. The Moon is there as one of the Bajorn. And then we have Troi's mother. I want to say Lwaxana Troi. Yeah, she's fun. I could see her as the sun. We have Q himself, the most magical being in the entire season, or entire universe. He can create everything. We have him there as Judgment, and then the world is the universe itself. And I love that illustration because I just love the galaxy and the cosmos. Hey, I'm Cosmic Crow Tarot, of course I do. So that illustration is really cool. But this is where we get down to the nitty-gritty and see the disappointment and the lack thereof of illustrations with the minor arcana. This is the Chariot that we had before as the Ace of Starships. Starships correspond to the cup suit, but you won't know that unless you check the guidebook. So there's the Ace of Star Trek, or Starships. There's the 2 that literally shows 2 starships. There's the 3 that literally shows 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And you see them all there, just adding a new starship to each card. There is so much more you could have done with this deck, and they didn't. Again, the court cards are illustrated, you can see them there. So this kind of gives us an idea that it's the Marseille Tarot, but as you've seen there, that's Spock's dad, the King of Starships. This is the King of Cups. That corresponds to the King of Cups. Now think about the Vulcans and the fact that they are logical and they don't use emotions, and they have the King of Starships as someone that has turned their emotions off. So it doesn't make a lot of sense. Then we get to the Vulcan ships. And now this is the Suit of Wands, I believe, in a regular tarot deck. I don't remember exactly what these are called, but you can see it there. There's 1 ship, there's 2 ships, there's 3 ships on a planet, 4 ships on a planet, 5 ships on a planet, 6 ships on a planet, 7 ships on a planet, 8 ships, 9 ships, 10 ships. Again, just pictures of ships, and we add more with every number. So we know that it's the 10 of something or the 9 of something, because we can count them as well as we have the numbers. But again, how does that relate to the suit of passion and fire? It's the same illustration, just adding more ships to it each time. And there's the Romulans you can see. So they're illustrated, and if you know the story, you know the characters. Off the top of my head, I don't know who these characters are, but perhaps the guidebook would tell us. Then we have the weapons that the Klingons use to like attack and stuff, and we have one there, Bat'leths, I believe they're called, 2 there, 3 there, and I do think this is the suit of swords. And you have 4 of the Bat'leths there, 5, 6, 7, 8. Got 9 in there too, so you have 9 there. You know, how does that tell you like you're staying awake at night worrying about everything when it's just a picture of 9 Bat'leths and 10? You see Worf's son right there with the page of Atlas. You can see the character there. I'm not sure exactly who she is, but she's another Vulcan. That, I believe, is Worf's baby mama. She's the mother to the page that we met there a moment ago. And then we have the King of Bat'leths right there. And then we get to the suit of Latinum, which corresponds to the suit of Pentacles. You know, how you purchase things. And this is the Ferengi's currency. Now, you could make a whole suit about the Klingons, a whole suit about the Romulans, but you just saved it for the court. And you can do the same thing here. I bet you can guess how this is going to go. The ace shows one bar of Latinum. The 2 shows 2. The 3 shows 3. The 4 shows 4. The 5 shows 5 Latinums. The 6 shows 6 bars of Latinum. The 7 shows 7. The 8 shows 8. The 9 shows 9. And the 10 shows 10. And then we have the characters from the TV show and the Ferengi that we know. I think she went to work with the Ferengi. I think she dated Picard for a while. You have the different illustrations there. And he's very popular on the show. He owns the, I can't remember his name right now, but he owns the bar on the ship. So he's very popular there. It makes sense for the King of Latinum. But again, you know, you could have done so much more. How does the 10 bars of Latinum here really make us think about generations of family coming together to celebrate our ancestors or past lives? Yeah, it shows we have a lot of Latinum to our names, but that's about all it has. So that is a rather disappointing version of the Inside Editions. I don't think I showed you the back of the cards. I see them there. Very nice again. The quality of the cards, no complaints about that. They did a very good job on the box. They did a very good job on the cards themselves. But the illustrations are definitely where they dropped the ball. So that is the Star Trek Next Generation. And speaking of television shows, we're going to go to the Stranger Things deck now. Now, unless you've lived under a rock or you're just not into streaming things, everybody knows what Stranger Things is, I believe. You know, we all love this. It's such a good show. It's so creepy. It reminds us of things from the 80s, I believe. You know, it's one of those things from Netflix. And I'm one of those people that might not click on Netflix and might not watch anything on Netflix for years, but I continue to pay for it because they're always the ones that have new things coming, and they're the only ones that have them. Perfect example, one of my favorite video games is BioShock, and there is rumors that they're going to make a BioShock movie and it's only going to be on Netflix, and I am over the moon ecstatic about that. I can't wait till that comes out. Plus they have like Black Mirror. They're the ones that had Orange is the New Black. Wednesday, everybody loves Wednesday, right? Addams Family series from Tim Burton. Yes, all of that is on Netflix, and that's why we love Netflix. And Stranger Things is it's definitely one up there too. It's no stranger to that. Like, you definitely, if you have Netflix, you probably watch Stranger Things and you probably love it. And there's so much, again, that one could do by having the rights to make a tarot deck about Stranger Things. So here we have the cards. You can see, again, we have the awesome box. We have the guidebook here. We can see the illustrations there. So very well made, very good guidebook, very high quality cards, very good box. You can see the illustrations here with the full. Again, I have no issues with the Major Arcana. They did put the work in with the Major Arcana. So we'll flip through them really quickly. There's 11 using her powers. There is the mom, Winona Ryder, you know, using hers. We've got the Emperor there. We've got the Hierophant, the Lovers, the Chariot, Strength, the Hermit, Justice is right there, the Hanged Man, Death. It's kind of like Death in Star Trek Next Generation Tarot, It's someone that died in the first season, so we're gonna make her death. And you can see the illustration there. We all know her name. Her name's Barb. She died in the first one because the two wanted to go in there and be together, and they just left her outside, so she got sucked into the underworld. Kept Temperance there, the devil, the tower, the star, the moon, judgment, and the world. So the major arcana, not bad. We got the major arcana makes sense. We can use it intuitively. And then we get to the suit of cups, or should I say scoops? Yes, the Inside Editions loves to change the names and perhaps make them more complicated than they need to be. So we have 1 scoop of ice cream, 2 ice cream cones, a banana split for 3, 4 scoops are in a cup, 5 scoops. There's not really even 5 scoops there, but it's kind of falling apart, so I guess that makes sense to show us the meaning of the 5 of cups, focusing on what's been lost. It's not lost yet. You might lose those 2 pieces, but you better start eating that scoop of ice cream. Then we have 6 of scoops, and they're working together. They're kind of reminiscent of the 2 of cups, but there it's the 6 of cups of remembering times of the past. 7 of scoops kind of shows 7 scoops. 8 of scoops shows them putting them together, like toasting their scoops to one another. This is the card of leaving things behind that no longer emotionally satisfies us. Both of them seem emotionally satisfied. The 9 of scoops, which corresponds to the 9 of cups, and the 10 of scoops. Then we have the page, again, characters in the court. Not bad. Very detailed, very beautifully illustrated, but again, not really much to go on. The Ace of Strands corresponds to the Ace of Wands, so this is the suit of Wands. And we have 1 bright and the other one's burned out. Then 2 bright, another one's burned out. 3, and then we only see 3, and they're all burning brightly. And then a door for the 4 of Strands, and a bunch of, there's no 4 or anything here. You have the 4 there and the 4 there, I suppose. But still, it's a door. The 5 of Strands, the 6, the 7, the 8 of Strands, and it's all tied together, which 8 of Wands is things moving quickly, like our passions moving forward quickly. Nothing's going to move forward quickly if all of our light bulbs and stuff to hang up for like a Christmas tree or Halloween decorations, if they're all like that, it's going to take us time to take them apart. We have the 9 of Strands right there, and the 10 of Strands. So some are illustrated, kind of goes back to the Disney versions. They tried a little bit on some of them, and then others they just didn't. So there's the Page of Strands, the Knight of Strands, which is really cool, the pizza one. You can actually go buy a Stranger Things pizza at Walmart now if you want to try it. I may be doing that myself now that I've thought about it. There's the Knight, like I said, the Queen of Strands, Nancy, I believe is her name, and then the picture of the King of Strands right there on the wall. I don't remember his name, but there's that illustration. And then we get to the dice, which I think is the suit of swords, if I remember correctly. The Ace of Dice, which shows a dice, but then there's another dice in the background. The 2 of Dice, you can see the illustration there, and it's kind of like Dungeons and Dragons or a board game of some kind. The 3 of Dice, we don't see any dice in the illustration, we just see a grave. If this is the swords though, pain, heartbreak, and betrayal, if someone dies, we definitely feel that way. The 4 of Dice, again, like this could work because you're inside that and you're sleeping, so that is the rest and reflection card. The 5 of Dice, now that is the victor or the victim card, as I like to call it. We did see, like with the Nightmare Before Christmas, that they were at odds with one another, and here we just have a couple guns and stuff pointing out there. There's no action going on, there's no one fighting, that's kind of not necessarily like showing the meaning of the 5 of Swords. There's the 6 of Dice, the 7 of Dice, potential of theft, but no one's really stealing it. The 8 of Dice, we are feeling trapped, prisoner of our mind. Like he's up against these different characters here, so I guess you could see that as being trapped by the prison of our own mind. The 9 of Dice, yeah, that would give me nightmares as well, but again, unless you know the story and you know the meanings already, you're not really going to get that. The 10 of Dice is there, and then we have the characters of the court, the Knight, the Queen, and the King. That's Robert Englund, so it's worth it to me to have this deck because I have a card with Robert Englund on it. Robert Englund, if you don't know, is Freddy Krueger, and I love Freddy Krueger. He's my favorite evil guy villain of all time. Other villains, murderers, homicidal maniacs can kill you just outright, like in everyday life, like Michael Myers and Jason Voorhees and stuff like that. But Freddy Krueger can kill you in your sleep, in your dreams. I just find that fascinating. So there's the King of Dice. And then we have the Suit of Spokes, which corresponds to the Suit of Pentacles, and we'll go through these very quickly. There's one spoke. There is one spoke with a wheel on it, or one wheel with a foot on it, so not even two spokes. There's bikes laying down for the Three of Spokes. Maybe they went to go do something together, because this is the card of working together to create our goals. The Four of Spokes, the Five of Spokes, the 6, the 7, the 8, the 9, or I got a little behind there, the 9 of Spokes, the 10 of Spokes. It's a skateboard. Skateboards, do they even have spokes? Page of Spokes is right there. You can see again, they put characters on these. And some of the cards, they even put characters on the cards themselves in the Minor Arcana. But it's like some of them they put work into and others they didn't. So that is the Stranger Things Tarot, and again, such a big story, so much information in it, and so much potential, and it's just like they did some of it and then decided they didn't need to do any more, and that's the problem with this deck. And then you can see there the backs, you know, it says Stranger Things. Again, it just says Stranger Things, and you know what is upright and what is reversed, because there, the word Stranger Things is reversed. So that is the Stranger Things Tarot, and I've left the Fallout Tarot for last. I should have like said the Bioshock and everything story towards the end, because then I'd be like, hey, speaking of video games, it's the Fallout Tarot. Now, Fallout is one of the best video game franchises of all time. If you're a fan of sandbox games, you know, those kind of games where you just walk around and do whatever you want, interact with like NPCs and stuff, and just get to know people and play your own story, this is the game to do it. It's a Fallout wasteland after the bombs have gone off. It's kind of like that energy, like nuclear war has occurred. Let's pray and pray that that never happens here, but like in reality. But Fallout Tarot is like the fallout of it, and they were all in a vault. So the vault, once it's safe to come out, you know, the vault opens, and that's the whole story. You're this character that goes out into the world, and you meet new people and stuff like that. And there's at least 4 games like that. The Fallout 4 is definitely the best. They made a Fallout 76, and I was really excited about that one about that one as well, because Fallout 76 is based in West Virginia, so it has all the things that we know from West Virginia, like Mothman and New River Gorge and Greenbrier. And I think they even have like West Virginia University on there. There's a bunch of different things from West Virginia in there, and I thought it was such a cool idea, but they left out the NPCs. What's the fun of going around like a sandbox game and not having anybody to connect with, or not having anybody to talk to? So like Fallout 76 definitely was a disappointment as well, but we're talking here about more like the Fallout 4 and behind that deck, and so much that could have been done with this deck. And again, Major Arcana, very well done. You can see the Fool there. He's coming out of the vault for the first time. He's very much a fool for life. There's Pip-Boy. He's the magician and saying all the stuff you can do. The High Priestess, the Empress, the Emperor. Got the Hierophant right there, you know, a robot that makes life much easier. Get my little bearings straight. The Lovers, I guess he loves that little soldier right there. You know, there's no two people there. I've always kind of liked the fact like the Lovers is the card of like loving yourself first, as RuPaul says on every single episode of RuPaul's Drag Race. If you can't love yourself, how in the hell do you expect to love somebody else? Can I get an amen? So that does show loving yourself and maybe loving an inanimate object. The Chariot's right there, and then we have the Strength, and it's like one of those ogre guys, and so definitely very strong. One of the harder things to kill in the game. The Hermit is right there. The Wheel of Fortune, Justice, the Hanged Man. Death is like the Death Pip-Boy. If you stay outside during a nuclear fallout, expect to die. Temperance is right there, and you see you got the gun right there and the saw right there. So you're able to work and still kill things too. The Devil there. You've got the Tower right here. The Star, the Moon. The Sun is the dog from Fallout 4. Definitely makes days a little brighter, and he doesn't die in the game either, which I love. So the dog is very cool. You meet him at the gas station when you first start. Yeah, I played a lot of Fallout 4. I love that game. And then you have Judgment right there is the character. He's the son that you lose when you go into the vault. Like your husband gets shot or your wife gets shot, depending if you play a male or a female. So he's living in this place that creates the sense. And there's the world, you know, has come to an end. nuclear fallout has taken over, so you see all that dust and everything. And then we have the suit of lanterns, which I believe is the suit of cups, if I remember correctly. You've got 1 lantern. There you have 2 lanterns, 3 lanterns, 4 lanterns, 5 lanterns, 6 lanterns. You can see the different bottles there. 7 lanterns, 8 lanterns, 9 lanterns, 10 lanterns, and then you have the characters from the game. I think they're the ones you meet in town, like they're like the secret society or something. I didn't really connect with them as much as I did with like the Brotherhood of Steel. So there's the characters from there that if you played the game you probably know. And there's the King of Lanterns, which he's like the doctor that creates the scents. So there's the suits of lanterns, which again I believe is the suit of cups. The muskets correspond with the suit of wands, if I remember correctly. And we have the ace of muskets. We have the 2 of muskets, which shows 2 muskets, 3 muskets, 4 muskets, 5 muskets, 6 muskets, you get the idea there, 8 muskets, 9 muskets, 10 guns, and a same picture. So again, suit of wands, if this is the suit of wands, how does this tell you that this is the card of feeling overwhelmed? You have a lot of guns on you? I guess you could feel overwhelmed. There's the page of muskets, the knight of muskets. The Knight of Muskets, which corresponds to the Knight of Wands, is the card of passions, like filling us with fuel and fire and making us want to soldier on to achieve them. Someone's stuck in a coffin like this. How are they going to soldier on to achieve their goals? There's the Queen of Muskets, and there's the King of Muskets. At least he's getting out of the coffin. I guess he's the one in the coffin in the first place, and you've thought about it enough now that you want to go after it. Then we get to the suit of steel, which apparently I've gotten these messed up somehow. And we have the 3. We'll just start with the 3 there. Yeah, I did mess those up. Oop, oop, oop. Okay, now we have them good. Ace of Steel shows 1 sword. 2 of Steel shows 2 swords. 3 of Steel shows 3. 4 of Swords shows 4. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 blades of steel. So again, so much more you could have done with this. And here is 10 swords on a page. It's very much like the Marseille Tarot before the Rider-Waite-Smith. But if they really wanted to do that, then they should have made Strength 11 and Justice 8, because that stays true to the Marseille style tarot. And I guess they could use that as an argument. We have the Page of Steel, the Knight of Steel, the Queen of Steel, and the King of Steel. And then we get to the Ace of Scents, and I believe this is the suit of Pentacles. So these are what's been created after the fallout, like underneath ground. So we have the Ace of Scents, the 2 of Scents, the 3 Scents, 4, 5 Scents, 6 Scents, 7 Scents, 8 Scents, 9 Scents, 10 Scents, and then the Court, the ones that created the Scents. The Page, the Knight, the King, Queen, and the King of Scents. So again, this is more of just showing, like, if you're interested in getting these decks, what to expect. This is how they created them. Perhaps moving forward, like, if Insight Edition sees this, they'll think, maybe we should put more effort into it. Yeah, 4 muskets on a page to show the 4 of Wands. How does this say anything about connections and passionate, strong foundations? You're passionate about weddings and celebrations like that. It doesn't. There's nothing to show your intuition, nothing to connect with your intuition in this deck. So again, a very disappointing deck when they could have done so much more with it. But again, card quality, very good. You can see there, you can flip it over. You don't know what's upright and reverse, so that's really cool. Box is very well made, so that's a good sign. The guidebook that they put with it, it's very well done as well. You know, since you can't know the meanings of the cards from looking at the illustrations, the guidebook comes in handy. Even knowing the names and what they represent for the suits right there, you're not going to know that unless you read the guidebook as well. So that's well done, and they did put time and effort into that. So it's not completely a horrible deck. None of the Insight Edition decks are like that horrible. There's much worse decks out there, like ones that people don't care about. And also the counterfeit decks that are just stolen, like I know Deviant Moon has to deal with that a lot. I know Pixie Kuro, the one that created Lightseer's Tarot, they make counterfeit decks of that as well. Buying a deck, we've talked about that before with my video about things that I've gotten from Temu. They counterfeit decks, they steal the artwork. Those are definitely worse. These at least are licensed. They are very much the real deal. But again, just there's so much more they could do with it. They could make them so much better. And many of these are rather disappointing. Even the Disney villains, which is really, really good, could have had something better to do with it. I mean, Disney has been creating movies for nearly 100 years. There's so much information in there that you could have done with the Minor Arcana. It's the same thing with The Nightmare Before Christmas. This is a cult classic, and there again, there's so much you could have done with that. Star Trek Next Generation, Tarot, just the Star Trek Next Generation series with Picard. There's so much you could have done with that story. There's so much story there. The entire series, the entire Star Trek universe is about connection, and Tarot is very much connected to that as well, showing the connections we have with other people, showing the appreciation and love we have for life in general. Again, I just feel like they dropped the ball and that they could have done better with this. So that's what I wanted to share in this video. And again, I will leave a link in the description below where you can purchase all these decks. Actually, what I'll do is just leave a link in the description below of Insight Edition's website themselves, and a link to their tarot page. There's a lot of different stuff there they made. Like I said, they make cookbooks and everything. So you can check out their website if you want to. These are available on Amazon as well. I appreciate you watching. I will totally do a video or a reading for you if you want a reading with one of these decks. That is possible. I'll share extra things there and probably share different cards with you so you can really see the meanings of the cards. Like if you choose the Fallout Tarot, I will do Rider-Waite-Smith with it as well, so you can kind of just really see the meanings of the cards. But as always, I want to thank you very much for watching. I'd love to hear your opinion on this as well, if you're kind of disappointed about the Insight Edition decks too. And hopefully Insight Edition may see this and think, maybe I need to do better, I need to work harder on my goal, my decks. And just, if you need, spend more time doing it. We tarot readers we don't mind waiting. We love the decks. It's worth the wait. I have no problem with that whatsoever. Speaking of Deviant Moon, everybody knows Deviant Moon's my favorite deck. Patrick Valencia is working on the Deviant Moon Oracle now. He's been working on it for years. It's absolutely going to be worth the wait. You know, patience with the progress, like patience with the process, really putting that time and effort in it to make it right. That's how it should be. Again, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you again in the next one.